Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima, and I'm here checking out Steamworld Quest. I don't know what the Hand of Gilgamesh subtitle has to do with anything, because it doesn't seem to have come up yet, but oh well. So this is a card-based RPG from the same people who bought you Steamworld Dig, Steamworld Heist, and the Steamworld Tower Defense game, which apparently started this whole series up. I've been playing it for about 4 hours at this point, but before we go in and jump into that, we're just going to pop into the options menu and take a look at the options. A lot of these options are really obvious, although for the purpose of demonstration, I'll turn that off for the time being. But yeah, you can see a bunch of things here, including the ability to turn off screen shake effects, which a lot of people will probably actually like. You've also got your music and your sound volume. Your music starts out a little bit low, but it's nothing too out of the ordinary. And you can also turn off the talk sounds, and trust me, you'll know what those are once we start getting into the game. Notably, there's like a little bit of voice acting. There's a prologue cutscene that is fully voice acted, and then it'll narrate the chapter titles and nothing else. It's a little bizarre if I'm being honest. You can also change the brightness here. I've got it a little bit high because I was playing this on the portable mode and it needed that little bit extra brightness. But I think we're going to turn it down because it looks absolutely fine being displayed on the screen here, so we'll just leave it like how was it by default. And you can rebind pretty much all your controls, which I appreciate. Although, honestly, you don't really need to, unless, of course, you've only got like one working hand or something. It's a pretty simple game to grasp and play. So let's go. We're gonna start off at Chapter 8, A Quest for Knowledge. This is the second chapter of Act 2. Most reviewers aren't allowed to actually show you past Chapter 12 until a couple of days after embargo, so if you're wondering why you don't see anything further than that, that's why. Notably, you can go back to earlier chapters because there are treasures and things lying around that you can go and get if you missed them the first time around, and you can also go grind XP, but after a certain point, it becomes completely pointless. Like, you'll get to a point where you'll be like level 16, for example, and you'll be fighting a certain set of enemies in a certain chapter. You'll kill them, and you'll get like a quarter of the bar as part of the fight. But then you'll level up to level 17, and then you'll barely get a tenth of a bar in the same kind of fight. So the EXP drop is real, just FYI. So we'll go for a quest for knowledge, and it's going to play the intro cutscene.
Chapter 8. A quest for knowledge.
Or not, apparently. Okay, sure, fine, whatever. Usually it plays a cutscene with the talking sounds, but there are usually multiple of them per chapter, so we won't worry too much. Yeah, we'll show off the merchant just while we're here, because there's a decent chance we might not need to come back. You never know. So you can, of course, buy items that do things like cure status effects, give you some health back, gives you, revives your hero. Actually, I might buy a few of these just to be safe, because you never know when you might need them. There we go. You can also buy weaponry, and the nice thing about weaponry is that it actually has an effect other than just making you stronger. It also does a, that's actually useful, but I'm not actually using that character right now. You can buy weapons. They also, not only do they affect your stats, but they actually affect your chain card, which we'll get to. I don't actually want to change What's-Her-Face's chain card, so that's why I haven't upgraded her thing yet. And you've also got accessories. Each character can equip 2. You find plenty out in the world, so you don't need to worry about that. You can also sell all of them, and you can craft cards. So, of course, this works pretty much exactly how you would expect. You kill enemies and they drop materials, and you can use these materials to craft cards. I've already crafted a fair few, but I do need to do a little bit of deck management myself, but we can wait until after a couple of battles to do that. Oh, team repair, that's kind of neat, but yeah, 3 gears, that's a bit much, if I'm being honest. But yeah, you can craft cards for pretty much anybody. you craft them just by selecting them, and if you've got the resources and the gold, it'll let you craft them, and it'll let you take as many cards as has got numbered down there. As for how that'll... Oh, you can also upgrade cards, which works exactly the same way. Upgrade materials, gold. If you've got them, you can make your cards more powerful, and it'll tell you how it does it. So, if I can upgrade Searing Lash if I like, for extra burn chance, which I might actually do, because I use Searing Lash a lot. Alright, so, let's not waste any more time, let's just head straight in. So, the environments are actually really simple. Thank you for the one line of text. The environments are really simple, actually. There hasn't been that much difference between them, between chapters. I've played through 7 chapters, and they're all pretty much the same, more or less. Oh yeah, Dark Souls style statue. Get all your health back, but all the enemies respawn, which... relatively useful sometimes, especially if you want to grind. I'm not personally grinding that much myself. Also of note is that there is actually a difficulty, and you can change it pretty much any time. I've been playing on Night difficulty, and it says it's suitable for most players, and I can agree with that. It's not too hard, and it's not too easy, although you might run into a brick wall once or twice. We'll leave that menu for later, we'll just move on. Wow, is this a boss fight? What the fuck? Okay, so... here's how the game works. It's very easy to understand. Hello, Sarah. We'll discard regeneration for now. So here's how the game works. Every card that doesn't have a gear cost will earn you a gear when you use it. So if I use IA cart, I don't know how to pronounce that, I get a gear. If I use another one, I get another gear. And then that unlocks the ones that require gears. You get 3 cards per turn, unless some card gives you a little bit of an increased limit on that. And gears that you earn can be used by later cards. So if you have 4 cards at the start of the turn, you have a card that requires 5, and you manage to earn one via using one that doesn't have a gear cost, you'll be able to use it later on in the turn. You have your 3 heroes. They each have their own deck, but their own decks are 8 cards each, which is actually surprisingly small. Once you get into the game, it's a little bit weird. But there are also things you can do called combos. Now, if you use 3 cards all from the same character, not combo, chain, sorry. The other thing is called a combo. But if you do 3 actions all from the same character, it will do a chain. And that chain gets you a 4th ability to use. In the case of Copernica, her ability is the barrier field, which gives everyone a barrier field, all at the same time. Alright, so I'm going to want to discard some cards here to see if we can get anything better. Interesting. Not really. We'll use Fixer to get some bonus gears. We will fire off the Raging Demon at that guy, and then we'll fire off a Cyclone Slash. Why not? There are also cards that you can combo. I'm not entirely sure if I have many combos in this deck at the moment, actually, but the way combos work is if you have a card that supports a combo, if you use that particular character before the combo, so what's an example that I used to have? Damn, I really should go and put one in my deck for this kind of purpose, but anyway. He put on an evasion up, so let's just hit him with an attack that'll hit him 6 times. There is no way all of them will miss. Had a feeling. That's a battle. We get some XP and some resources. Alright, so I was saying about combos. So if I go back to my decks, I should be able to find a card that has a combo on it. Oh yeah, I know, it's the Gigaton Punch. So there's the combo. If I use any card from that character, what's his bloody name? Millie. Her name, took me a little while to figure that out. But if you use any card from her, before that card gets a bonus effect. So those are the two main things. Now let's go and actually have some more fights before I really go digging into the deck building system. So as I was saying about the environments before, they are very simple. You just wander around, you have enemies wandering around that you can either avoid or try and fight. You can also hit them immediately in order to actually start the fight yourself and get a little bit of extra damage on them in the process. The downside to that, well, there's no real downside to it, but you can also just have them run into you and the battle will just start. There's nothing in the way of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's nothing really in the way of, work with me here, getting attacked and then having damage done to you before you enter the fight, which is a nice little bonus. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, the environments, they're all very simple. They have usually easy to notice entrances and exits. Something worth noting though is that there are also hidden areas. And there are also a limited number of chests lying around which you can open up and get treasure and stuff from them, which is you know, obviously a nice little thing. Yeah, we'll use the fixer just to get those extra... Actually, no, we won't. We'll save it. Use the cold on that and then just throw that out there. But yeah, there are usually just some hidden chests and stuff like that lying around. If you open them, you get items like gold, you get accessories, and sometimes you get cards. Sometimes you also get cards just by wandering around and wandering into story events. And there are a fair few different kinds of cards. There's actually a good amount of them. And they're all pretty nice. Let's discard this card. You can discard up to twice in one turn, but obviously here it didn't help me out. I really do need to play around with my deck a little bit and take out some of the cost cards that I have, because I'm running into too many situations where I can't actually take turns because I'm drawing cards that I don't have the gears for. Alright, let's use Arcane Detective. That'll get me a gear every turn. Yeah, let's do Fixer. So we'll do Heart Piercer. You can also, of course, speed the battle up by holding right on the ZR on the Pro Controller. This is the the Switch version of the game. Searing Lash, Ire Cut, and then that. Why not? Save the gears that we're going to get, because they might actually be... Well, save most of the gears we can get, because they'll actually be pretty useful. We'll do... Regeneration. Quick fix on Pernica because she needs it. Then Wrecking Ball for the chain. And then Water Jet, which is his combo. Yeah, sure. Arcane Detective, Steam Punch, Steam Punch. So the environments are pretty basic. There's nothing really too out of the ordinary that happens with them. Steam Punch, then Cyclone Slash, then Cyclone Slash. There is no way this thing isn't dead at this point. 35 times 40, yeah, down it goes. I didn't even have to think about that one. There's some experience, there's some materials and some gold. Easy done. Navigating most of the environments is literally just looking around for exits that aren't obvious, which usually just involves breaking things and then going up against the edge of the screen. In this case, it doesn't seem to be that in-depth. Hidden chest back there, that's interesting. With Stone Lion as a card. What does this do? Not entirely sure. But yeah, it mainly revolves around just going through, beating the crap out of everything you see, fighting pretty much everything you see, because that's usually a good idea. And looking for simple hidden entrances and chests. That's pretty much the long and the short of it, you know? We'll go back down here. Oh. It's a teleporter. Makes enough sense to me. Oh, God. I hate these things. Let's see if we can... No. No chance. Right. Have to take that thing out as quickly as possible, because that is a bomb. And it will explode and hurt very badly if we let it live for too much longer than it really needs to. So, let's just build up some gears this turn, huh? Alright, so enemies work on the same gear system that you do. So once you have a certain amount of gears, that's when you can start throwing out your more punishing attacks. We'll discard that and see what we get. Oh, another Steam Punch, perfect. Throw the Steam Punch out at him first, and then throw the Gigaton Punch once we're through his armor. Smack. We're just going to leave those two alone for now, because that thing needs to die so badly. Yeah, Wrecking Ball, then Heart Piercer. That will 100% kill it. See what I mean by needing gears? You really do need the gears. Thankfully, we can just end our turn by pressing Y. Alright. Oh yeah, he's also got an item on that lets him counter. So, okay, Steam Punch, Fire Pillar, and Fire Pillar. Why not? Just do some damage. So the actual card-based gameplay actually starts out pretty simple, and that's my main issue with the game. The fact that it starts out simple and actually takes a while to really get going. Mainly due to the fact that you start out with the most boring character in the game, which is the one that I'm not using at the moment. And then eventually it gets better. It absolutely does get better. The only downside is that it takes a while. Because you need to start building up cards in order to really make it worth the time. And unfortunately, you just don't get much in the way of good cards early on. Once you get to about chapter 7 or 8, like I am, you've got plenty of cards, you've got the ability to swap out your main attacking character, and things are a little bit more interesting. But only barely, because, yeah. Earning cards and crafting them does take a fair amount of resources, and unless you've been on the grindstone like I've been, you might end up taking a significant amount of time to actually get them. Once you do have them, though, and you have a good strategy worked out, it can be more interesting. Being able to throw yeah, see, look at this. I had 8 cards. I could have had any of 8 cards, and they were all bloody the wrong kind. And that's not even the one I want, because it doesn't even help me build any gears. Shit. Man, this is a really badly built deck. I'm going to have to go and take a few of these out in a minute. Right. Yeah, Heart Piercer. it does piercing damage, which means that he'll, even against things that don't like physical attacks, it does pretty well for itself. Arcane Detective, Searing Lash, and Fire Pillar, which gives me some energy shields, thank God. Once you start having your combos and your chains together, things become way more interesting. It just takes a while to get there. Unfortunately, this means you have to go through several relatively dull levels in order to even stand a chance to get there. Unfortunately, my 4th character there isn't actually leveling up along with me, so bollocks. Where does this take me? Holy... Okay, well, I think we know what these are going to be weak to. Unfortunately, I had the bad luck to not actually draw any of them. God damn it. Yeah, we need to put regeneration on because we are low on health. You know, I had a feeling they were going to burn me when I attacked them, but yeah. Right, okay. Steam Punch, check. Creeping Cold, check. Heart Piercer, check. We'll just try and do one first. Well, I have a feeling this might go badly for me. Discard a Cyclone Slash and a Calming Wisdom. Not what I was particularly hoping for, but I'll take it. He's going to go down this turn. There's just no way. Well, that was close. All right. Give me more gears. Fire Pillar. Fire Pillar. Yeah. Doesn't put any of my guys in particular danger, which is... Oh, no. Oh, God, no. Oh, no. Now she's confused. Right as I get her fucking chain, too. That is... almost impressively bad. We'll throw away the Steam Punch because I want that quick fix. Right, I will put the quick fix on you. And we will end the turn because I do not want to go using those cards while I can still get a good energy barrier. Oh my god. Right, throw away the Wrecking Ball and throw away the Raging Demon. Just a Steam Punch. Brilliant. Right, now she's back to normal. Mana barrier for him because he needs it, and that. The 4 different characters you get are actually pretty good at... Oh. Right, I forgot. Fire! He does not like fire. Alright. Discard that. Okay, go for the Steam Punch, the Heart Piercer, and the Gigaton Punch. This will hurt, but it will kill it. There we go. Chest, chest, chest. Give me the chest. Lowering fire defense. Sounds useful. So, okay, so that's the Groundskeeper's Wandering Eye. Yes, that's what we need to activate the bridge. And I'm guessing this will teleport us back down. Indeed it will. Right, so, gonna heal up. And I'm going to go and fill around with our decks for a bit, just to show off how that works. So, as I said before, you have 8 cards. And you need to make sure that you have a good balance of cards. So let's get rid of that Wrecking Ball. We'll hang on to the Gigaton Punch, and we'll put up a... Shields Up instead? Actually, no, we'll put another Steam Punch in, and we'll get rid of Shields Up. There we go. And for Iori, we'll get rid of one of his Heart Piercers and add another cut back in. That'll give me a little bit more to work with in the way of low gear stuff, while still hanging on to all the spells I need, because I need to have some decent amount of healing. So, alright, let's just start from the top. So, everyone can have 8 cards, and no more and no less, which is actually a little bizarre. You would think you could like understuff a deck if you wanted a challenge, but I suppose not. So, and everyone, you have a certain amount of cards of each type, and you can put in just that many. So if I want to put in Electrolyze, I can only put in 2, but if I want to put in Kilovolt, which is just an outright better card, unless you really need to draw cards, you get 4. And each character has their own way of going about things. So for example, our Millie is just an outright strength-focused attacker, more or less, which is why 2 Victory is one of the most useful cards that he has, because he can just up his own strength multiple times, and then he can just throw out tons of different kinds of attacks, and that's more or less it. Like, see, he can also lower fire defense, which is great for Copernica, because Copernica has a lot of fire spells. We have Searing Lash, Fire Pillar, and Flame Wave, which we can use in a little bit of a combination with each other. Everybody has a bunch of these different combinations of cards that'll actually work really well for them. And this is not just talking about like the actual combos, this is just talking about cards that work well with each other. Like for example, being able to use 2 Victory and then a Gigaton Punch actually counts as a combo. You don't have to use any actual attacks along that sort of thing. So you can use that as a sort of impromptu combo because it just works well with each other. And then you've got Auric, who only just joined the party towards the end of Act 1. And he is actually pretty interesting. He actually focuses more on critical hits than anything. And he also has the ability to do things like build up gears for Cyclone Slashes, although Armilli actually has a card that he can craft that does the same sort of thing. And he can also change masks. So as you can see here, switches to his mask, which heals him for 4% of his maximum health whenever he takes damage. Not too useful unless you combine it with Raging Demon. So when you combine it with Raging Demon, if you manage to do both like in the same turn, he will actually do the attacks, but he also takes damage in this one, but he'll also heal it right back. Again, there are just all sorts of these little combinations lying around, so they're at least pretty good at that. So, yes, and there are, of course, lots of cards to buy and craft. You get new cards at the beginning of every chapter, or the end of every chapter, or just, you know, something like that, right? Once per chapter. And there are plenty of different cards you can get, and of course, you can upgrade them. So if you have a combo that you really like, you can spend all the stuff that you want on it. I can upgrade this to raise its damage, and it doesn't cost me that much, so I might as well. Cool beans. Same thing with the Heart Piercer, I suppose. Sweet. My one downside is that pretty much every deck, as far as I can tell, and this is probably even more true in the higher difficulties, pretty much every deck really does require a bunch of healing, because you can take a fair amount of damage each turn, especially in the boss fights. There is a boss fight at the end of every chapter, and that's pretty much the long and the short of it. So, excuse me. So, you do end up needing to carry along a bunch of healing, because if you don't, that's bizarre. There was no actual boss fight for that chapter. Let's actually go back and do a boss fight then, because we're already half an hour in, and yeah. I'll just do us all a favor and skip all the cutscenes, because this chapter is literally heal up, buy some cards if you want them, then go do the boss fight. So, you know, you do want as much healing as you can get your hands on, because you do end up taking a lot of damage, especially during boss fights, and you want to just be healing up a bit. So there's no focusing purely on attack power, which can kind of suck, but at the same time isn't the worst thing in the world. So let's just start focusing on Captain Canary. And there is, of course, the matter of the other difficulties. I haven't actually tried the other difficulties. This mode here has been doing me pretty well, as I said before. The amount of challenge is actually pretty good. I've got nothing wrong with the amount of... well, not so much bullshit, but I've got nothing wrong with what the game throws at you most of the time in this mode. Although there was one particular area that really annoyed me where I had to get a... where I had to either do a ton of grinding, which again is next to impossible once you get to a certain point, or I needed to just rebalance my deck in order to just add a bunch of healing spells to it, because that's pretty much what you need most of the time in order to survive the more difficult boss fights. This boss is actually going to be a fair bit easier, mainly because I've been leveling up. Leveling up in this game doesn't let you, like, set stats or anything. It's just a straight upgrade to one stat. And the stats are very easy to manage, because you've only got strength, magic, and health. Those are pretty much the only stats that you have. So it's not very complicated at all. Actually, can I? Yeah, I can chain that. Let's chain that. It's 1. That's 2. 3, 4, 5. Ouch. Thankfully I had my shield on for that, so it didn't hurt me too badly. And Rain of Blades. 4 attacks on random enemies on the field. But yeah, it's relatively well balanced, at least on this difficulty. I will say that much. We'll discard regeneration. We don't need it at this very moment. Yeah, that'll do. Considering that he's confused right now. But yeah, what do I think of the gameplay overall? It's pretty good. The only downside is that it takes a while to get started. I would have preferred it if we started at around the 2 to 3 hour mark instead of like where we actually end up starting, just because it takes a while for you to have more than 2 people on the team. And then if you want to get someone really interesting, like good old Iori, something like that here. I haven't been paying attention to their names. Then yeah, it would be much better if we just started out with, you know, maybe 4 people in the party and a bunch of cards available from the get-go, just so we were able to actually, you know, get some more interesting stuff going. It looks great. The animations are really nice. And it's just a pretty damn good-looking game in general. The only downside to the animations is that by default, the game goes really slowly, so you do really kind of need to just... After a certain point, you will be turning on that option that'll let you turbo through every single animation. Just because it is relatively slow by default, and there's not really that much you can do about it. Gigaton Punch, why the hell not? We could do with the damage. Yeah, it looks good. It sounds pretty good too. I'll give it credit for that. It actually has a good soundtrack. Nothing I'd put on my Spotify playlist or what have you, but I'm enjoying listening to it. It fits the theme. The writing overall is pretty good as well. It's not amazing, but it definitely does have that Steamworld sense of humor. If you've played any Steamworld game before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's good, because there's not that much of an actual story going on. It's basically just the bad guys invaded, go and kill them, more or less. I mean, there's a little bit more to it, but not much that really affects anything. Might as well mana barrier to you. You don't really seem to need it that badly, but whatever. Yeah, there's not really that much going on in the story, but it does have that Steamworld sense of humor about it, which has got me to chuckle a couple of times. Not much, but it's there. It happens. Arcane Detective, Heart Piercer, and another Cyclone Slash. Sure. One turn will do it. Yeah, I am actually a lot more powerful than I'm supposed to be at this point. I remember this being a real tank of a boss. Yeah, there we go. Good thing I'm used to wheeling. Because he's got a bloody wheel. We'll get some XP. Tiny amount of XP, as I said. As soon as you get to a certain point. We'll just skip these cutscenes. Just so there's not too much in the way of spoilers, but honestly, there's nothing to spoil in the grand scheme of things. Although, technically, I'm not actually allowed to show you the opening cutscene because it spoils where this game is on the Steamworld timeline. Which is apparently a thing. I didn't know this. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. We've been here 35 minutes. You've seen a bunch of battles and a little bit of exploring and all that, so we might as well just end it off here. That was a look at Steamworld Quest. It's a pretty competent, if relatively slow, card game. Both to get started and just in the general gameplay, which is why I'm grateful they included that toggle speed up option in there. Would I recommend it? Well, that's a good question, actually. It's a pretty good game. The problem is, and here's where things get interesting, anyone ever heard of Slay the Spire? It's actually a game I've been meaning to do a video on for some time, but this game is kind of Slay the Spire, but not really. It's got its own unique mechanics, and of course it has that Steamworld sense of humor. But that's also coming to Switch, and if I'm being perfectly honest, Slay the Spire is the better card game, just because it's more difficult, so it makes you put in a lot more effort to get to where you need to be. At least in this game, you do have the ability to turn the difficulty down, but yeah, would I tell you to get Steamworld Quest over Slay the Spire? Probably not. Would I tell you to get this if you wanted a relatively simple card game that is also a bit RPG-y and doesn't take too much to get into? Yeah, I probably would. Would I recommend it for Steamworld fans? Well, absolutely. It does feel like a Steamworld game after all. Not really sure where I was going with that. This will be available... Oh, God forbid, I don't even know the release date. This will probably be out with the embargo now that I think about it. But yeah, it'll be like $25 US, which I honestly think is a bit much, which is another one of the reasons why I'm struggling to recommend it. Maybe 20 bucks maximum, in my personal opinion. I mean, then again, these are the... this is the same people that charge like for a 3 to 4 hour campaign along the lines of like Steamworld Dig, so... You know, it's not that bad of a price, it's just maybe just a little bit too much for my personal tastes, but... If you like the look of the game, and you're not into particularly hardcore games, then yeah, sure. Give it a shot. Then again, there's also Yu-Gi-Oh! Coming. I'm actually really looking forward to that. Before I bring up any more related card games, this has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.